Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Presented by USAA Insurance, easy insurance for stuff in real life.
Hello everybody and welcome to day one of the LA Thieves Home Series. Oh boy, it is going to be a great start to the day. It is Toronto Ultra taking on the LA Guerrillas in what should be the perfect way to set up our final week as we head into the stage 4 major. And on topic with that, let's go and take a look quickly at our CDL points presented by Game Fuel. We see a little bit of the disparity there. Atlanta FaZe feeling ever so confident toward the top side, but there could be somewhat of a shift going down between our teams that kind of sit toward the middle side of the pack, which again, you know, we talked about the stage 4 major, we covered all of these majors, but we got to also discuss how important these games that kind of siphon in to the big picture. But tell you what, folks, it's going to be a great day. Myself and Stud here for you guys on the cast. Stud, we are 1 week away, my friend, from some good old LAN gameplay. Feels good.
Oh, I'm so excited, man, for LAN to get back. Not only for me, you know, being a former player, but for all the players out there. This is something that they have been waiting for, and that's why LA Thieves made the roster change that they do, because they know Slasher, he just loves himself some LAN. So I'm excited for that to come back. But between this matchup right here, it's going to be the battle of the purples. On one side, Toronto, they were able to get in there last week with both 3-0s, and on the opposite side, LAG currently sitting on 0-3 for the stage. They need to have a bounce back answer because they're currently sitting in a nice spot for that CDL points. 60 points below Florida. They need to start changing some wins to try to get to that top 8.
Absolutely, my friend. As you said, it's a big week for Toronto, and they're also looking for another big week. As we said, those top 3 seeds mean everything for these teams coming into, like we said, that good old stage 4 major. It's going to be on LAN, and one team that I'm super excited to watch, of course, when we get to LAN, is going to be the Toronto Ultra. Go to meet the team.
Try to get mad, everybody wanna keep up, don't you know I move too fast, I'ma zip right past, drip all on my swag, why you trying to size me up, you don't wanna try your luck, how does it stove, what did you know, burn like coal, yeah you know I go, way too hot, yeah I really too cold, I'ma keep going till I hit my goals, better get back when I'm in my zone, do it for the ones that I know back home, did it myself, they ain't put me on, but you call back if you hear that tone,
There you have it. Those are your Toronto Ultra boys, looking ever so beautiful in some good old purple. But as you said, Stud, they've looked great in their past 2 matches. What we say, back-to-back 3-0 dominant wins for this crew.
Yeah, and it's just good to see because Toronto Ultra, they're one of the top 3 teams that we have in this game. So they started off stage 4 with that loss to Florida, which really shook up a lot of people. People were not expecting that, including myself, but they were able to bounce back in their following 2 matches, getting that 3-0. And just watching this team, man, this is a team that I feel like has no weaknesses. The only thing that really tends to hurt them a little bit is their S&D game, and it's just the fact that they always try to come out and just not use the similar strats they're used to. And we saw that in their last matchup where they go all the way to a 6-5, but they were able to close it out. They were trying a lot of things in their early rounds, and it obviously wasn't working for them. They go back to what has been working for those guys, and eventually it turns out in a win. And that's the only thing. It's just you want to make sure that you're showing new strategies in that search and destroy game mode because their respawn is looking great.
Yeah, it's hard to find a weakness with this Toronto Ultra team, but one roster that at times has been able to find those weaknesses is our very next team. A roster that is looking for the upset, a team that is looking to turn the tide as what has been a difficult stage for them. Let's go and meet the roster, LA Guerrillas.
When my friends go, it was simple. When the end's low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I don't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike, I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, need all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. I got right, I got heart, I don't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike, I go hard day and night.
As we said, for the LA Guerrillas, it has been a tough streak so far throughout stage 4. They are currently sitting at 0-3 right now, and as we said, the road for them does not get much easier today versus the Ultra.
It definitely doesn't, man, and it's really difficult when you look at this LAG roster, because when you bring in a player like Cheen, obviously in the beginning stages, their respawn was starting to look good. They were pushing a lot of these teams to a game 5 and didn't have that ability to close out on some. But just ever since stage 4 started, nothing has been clicking for these guys, especially their hardpoint. And let's just hop right into our game fuel keys to victory for LAG. Hardpoint can't continue to be as bad as it is. As it has been. Currently 0-5 throughout stage 4, and it's just not been good, man. Just everyone's not putting up the consistent numbers in those respawn game moments, and it's really hurting them. And then Silly, he needs to be better today. 0.64 overall KD in stage 4, last in the CDL. And this is something that we weren't really expected to see, because Silly, he's a great player. But ever since he's made that change from that AR to that submachine gun, he really hasn't found his rhythm. And he's currently sitting dead last in the CDL. The guy needs to be on point to at least help aBeZy out in those SMG engagements.
Yeah, when we talk about, the other side, they're going to have a very formidable opponent when we talk about those SMG roles specifically. But now our game field keys to victory here for the Toronto Ultra. Don't allow for Cheen and aBeZy to gain that confidence. The last thing that you want to provide a team that in this kind of situation is maybe the lesser of the two is to provide them with unnecessary confidence. You gotta shut them down. And that first hardpoint. Also, keep up the dominance in the controls. They have won 16 of their last 17 controls.
Unbelievable.
An unbelievable stat, and one guy who has helped been leading the way. In fact, has been Benjamin Vance, as he's currently at a 1.16 so far throughout stage 4. Looking his best, which is great to see, of course, if you're a Toronto fan. Just one of the many scary things to be keeping in mind, of course, if you are a Guerrillas fan in this situation. But as we take a look now at our maps and modes, it will be Garrison Hardpoint for map 1, Express S&D, some good old raid, control, and hardpoint. And if we can see it, if we can get down to the wire, it will be some good old standoff, search, and destroy. Oh boy, Stud, as we take a look through the maps and modes, map vetoes, I mean, for a moment, any map in particular kind of set up what could be a sequence of success for the Guerrilla side?
Well, definitely looking at that map 1 to map 3, like Garrison Hardpoint is one of their best hardpoint maps, even though they do have a negative record where they're sitting at 4 and 5 on it. But they're really confident there. And then that control rate is another huge part, and they'll be sitting at 5 and 4. The only thing is, on the opposite side, Toronto have basically played that map 20 times, so they know exactly what they want to get done there. So this is going to be a really difficult series for LAG to try to get done, but this first map is going to tell me a lot, because Toronto on that map number 2, Express, they're 5 and 1, so you cannot go down 0 and 1 in this series if you're LAG.
Yeah, I know this has been kind of a stat that you and I have set on for a while. We've talked about it at times when we've talked about the Toronto Ultra, right? Ultra, they have 12 losses on the season. 11 of those 12 losses have been because of a game 1 hardpoint loss. So if we're talking about, I guess you could say, kind of a blueprint, Stud, it's going to be in those game 1s, and it has to be the case here for Guerrillas, as we now go ahead and fly on in for some good old Garrison. And really, so far, hardpoint has not treated the Guerrillas too kindly, Stud. 0-5 so far in stage 4.
Yeah, it's not good, and that's exactly what was happening right there, as Kleenex was able to find 2 on that hard point. So this is all on Silly now to just try to keep control of this top green, not allow players to try to push out and flip these spawns. So far, Toronto, they're getting a good amount of time off that P1. Silly's going to win his engagement towards green, so now this allows his teammates to try to put some pressure through lights, try to put some pressure through the middle of the map, try to give up, to not allow Toronto to get a lot of time off this.
Based off these few sequences here, here's that Toronto Ultra, they pretty much push on through the spawn, and with that, they have flipped things. 25 unanswered points so far at P1, and it only looks to continue. Possibly the rich getting richer as aBeZy's able to toss out a nade. He and Cheen able to put down 2 for a moment, but with that, it still is Toronto sitting in the driver's seat. They've got P2 now set, ready, and prepared. And Seth, I want to ask you, like, when we talk about this LAG team, specifically a player like Silly, I mean, as we said, not looking great in hardpoint. He's currently in hardpoint, last in overall KD so far in stage 4. We know a player like him, what he can provide, and I guess coming into a series where you've got some very fast-paced SMG players, how do you want to see his game start to evolve in these last few matches?
He just needs to play more around aBeZy, like not try to make as many individual plays. And the thing is that every time he's in a position, his teammates are dropping, so he has to try to change his play on the fly. And with them not having spawns, it's going to be a lot more difficult because you're continuously fighting from the back foot. But as long as him and aBeZy can just really just set the tone with the aggression of those SMGs and just work well with each other, flip the spawns when they need to, make sure they trade in the kills when they need to, is going to be the greatest thing for these guys because, like you said, Silly's just not having a good stage 4 so far with that SMG in his hands, and hopefully he's going to be the answer here soon.
Yeah, I'll look to try and be that, starting things off 5-3. Just as we talk about him, finds himself on a nice little 4 spree. He's going to be able to answer the call of Vance. Unfortunately not, but that's where aBeZy can pick up right where he left off. Some much needed time that has to go in the favor of Guerrillas as the Ultra come through and answer out in a big way. Walking the first 2 hard points is Insight and Kleenex. Look to deal the damage from the front. Considering that LAG still with spawns toward the backside, Assault with some good teammate support are able to drop 3. So LAG for a moment, sweat off the brow situation. They clear the first wave.
Yeah, and this is good because Ultra were able to chain that P1 to P2 and open the lead substantially. But this is a good bounce back kill. The only thing is you have to try to fight out of this with the 15 seconds remaining. So you're going to see a couple players from LAG trying to push through dark, trying to get through that top platform. Just get to the opposite side of the map. But 2 kills are going to go in favor of Toronto. aBeZy with the trade, and with Kleenex getting that one, that's going to force a lot of the players from LAG to spawn out towards behind them. So this is going to be huge. And just looking at the minimap is throwing me off because both of these guys are in purple. I don't know what's going on, but LAG, they have the spawns.
They do. LAG, somewhat of a good spot. We'll see if they can continue to echo off of that success that they have seen up to this point. Ultra still in a good spot based off of the game. But when we talk about P4, P5, a lot of times it can be up in your face, a lot of aggression, a lot of kills going down at once. And oftentimes that can come down to the communication. And I think it's fair to say, let's go ahead and step aside and listen in with our Astro listening on the Toronto Ultra.
Green top floor, Silly's last guy there, so mid right corner, make sure you block.
I am blocking green.
I don't know where Silly's going. He's going tools, he's going tools, he's going tools.
I can't hold tools, I pushed up
here. I'm watching my tools.
P3 up, one shot, you, go on you.
I'll be D right. I you are D left on me, I'm pretty sure. Help, rails, Assault's one shot back left, absolute back long, Assault's back left. Really big rails. Rails on me. Oh, we do, listen, you stay pushed out.
Two floating.
Yeah, I will be. They're all on the ground, listen, Sheen and Silly spawn in the back, big kills on them.
P3, or P4 and...
Sheen and Silly spawn in the back. I've got one, I'm playing my life.
I spawn breaks here.
They're wrapping breaks,
I'm pretty sure.
aBeZy's flat one shot. Sheen D right. Listen, I'd get up. Sheen, absolutely right, Toby. Literally so weak, nice, bro. Gold.
More probably.
Yeah, I spawned here. Listen, Sheen and Silly's gonna spawn over there. Assault's in time.
Assault's in time.
Nice, good shit. Nice, let's that. Sheen and Silly in the back.
Oh, he's sorry, back break.
I'm I've got it. Go Toby. Yeah, I'm dead in time. Cross that, on the right. I'm absolute. I can't help you, Toby.
In breaks, Jamie.
My ramp, absolute.
Step.
I'm dead on the cross.
Went to green.
Play gold.
Already gonna be green. Already gonna be green.
Hold that cam. Yeah, I can. He can. He's already up there. Silly's already top green.
Chill. We need to take your time. Give me crossing.
I spawned in the back.
I gotta say, Stud, I think it's fair to say, like, based off those listings there, I think one player that kind of stuck out for me was Cammy. Like, I know, in terms of the lane department so far, he's not having the greatest of games, but he really hasn't had to. Like, Vance and Kleenex have kind of led the way, but he's calling out kills, he's calling out spawns, when to hold kill cams, etc. A lot of intangibles from this guy, Cammy, especially when we talk about that conversation side of things.
Yeah, and Cammy right now is the floor general. He's letting his teammates know, like, hey, this is where they're spawning, this is what's going to happen on the map. And he's just making sure his teammates are aware because obviously this is their first match. You want to make sure you're on point to start off stage 4, at least in this week 3 going into that major. So Cammy, obviously not having the start that he wanted to, has stepped up in that leader role and is really just directing his teammates. And some great shots right there onto aBeZy, able to get the 2. And he's already has some tank control from the top green. They're still getting a good amount of time off of this P1. This is where the game can get out of hand if LAG can't pick up these kills.
Yeah, last time around it was the Ultra who were able to pull off some crazy plays. This time around, LAG possibly learning from their mistakes. But again, you look at that scoreline right now, what, nearly 160 to 80, doubling the score of the opponents. A huge hill inbound for Guerrillas, possibly a game-defining one, depending on how the Ultra look to play this. As now it will be the 2 players making their way from the back, both Vance and Kleenex in combination together. So deadly as the 3rd one falls, and now it all comes down to Father App on side of the point. How big can he go? And the question is, not at all, as Cammy picking up right where he left off. A great sequence there for Ultra as they are able to break in toward P2 once again.
And LAG, they were fully set up there. You had a player that was playing towards the back and a player sitting on the top of those crates just assisting the guy in the back. But both players drop, and then eventually the third drops in the middle of the map. It's all left up to aBeZy. They only get 10 seconds off that time. That was just a terrible setup from LAG. They need to be a little more tighter, or at least Windows engagement so they can fight back into this one. But now they find themselves having to try to break in. Toronto with the great setup, able to get this remaining 15 seconds and break that 200-point mark. So now you have to focus off the rotation. Right now, LAG, they just haven't woken up. aBeZy, we need to win that gunfight, man, because now it's all left up to CDL by himself off the rotation.
Yeah, that's a great call, my friend. And really, based off of Slang, nobody really out of the question too much. Like you see Cheen 14 and 19, but really nobody highly negative, if really negative at all, from the Guerrilla side. It has just been the more impactful kills coming out of the Ultra as aBeZy looks to try to get in the conversation. But as he falls, it will be once again Ultra put in a prime spot. Based off the way that Insight has been playing, especially in these last few matches, it is going to be hard to contest a player like him. And as you said, Stud, it is hard to find a weakness with this team in multiple different areas. This roster can just surprise you, and Insight has been a rookie, right? He comes in, he's been so good for this team. He's been playing lights out, and Guerrillas have not been able to handle it. It's 212 to 93. The Ultra continue to pile on the points. As we head to P4, P5, something has to get going for Guerrillas. It has to get going quick as Assault finds 2.
And that's a huge 2-piece because that's going to force both players to spawn out towards Junk. The only thing is, CDL is going to be that player that dropped early off the rotation, so he's going to spawn towards back P3. And just like that, Toronto were able to break in. You're going to have a split spawn on both sides for LAG. A couple players spawning towards green, still CDL in the back end trying to stay alive, but he's eventually going to fall. So now they're all going to get that green spawn. But Toronto, they just have so much map control right now that LAG, they do not have a breathing room. They need to try to get him because Toronto can close it out here.
Absolutely can. Within 20. What LAG can possibly have up their sleeves. Again, if you're a little bit confused, because it's easy to, right, from back and forth. Both teams, of course, representing purple. Those purple arrows are going to be Guerrillas. White arrows are the Ultra. So with that, Ultra look to try to break on in from the front. Meanwhile, CDL doing everything he can toward middle tanks to try and make something happen. Sheen's now there for a position, but you look at that score and it's just a matter of, is it too little, too late? Is there even a solid opportunity for the Guerrillas to really get back in this one, considering how a lot of those money hills have gone up to this point? Speaking of points, CDL doing everything he can to try to muster up as many as possible. Pulling up some nice movement, but unfortunately there's too many players around him as he quickly begins to fall. It will be a split spawn toward the backside of tanks. Vance with a lot of opportunity to provide some communication. And that comm will come in clutch. Toronto once again within 10 seconds, back and forth, possibly denying the inevitable. As Assault hops onto the point, off the three spree. Chance to maybe gain some streaks, but again, LAG, it's going to take a lot of work to try and make this one look closer.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time until Toronto are able to close this out. And one thing that Toronto is so good at doing is that when you're looking at the stats for this team, it's not like someone's going out of this world just dropping an insane amount of kills. It's just everyone across the board. They are chaining their kills at the perfect time to where they're able to get that break, and their teamwork is just on point. So you're going to see them at 247, 136. They can win it over here in Toronto. What a way to start Week 3, Stage 4, with a great opening win. Toronto are up 1-0.
I gotta say stuff, like we talked about that a lot throughout this game, was a matter of just like not a huge slaying disparity. Like Cheen obviously doesn't have the greatest performance, but not as big as you'd expect. Like, is that more of a credit to what Ultra were able to do, or is that kind of more of a discredit to the LAG side to say, hey, you slayed as well as you could, but you still got dominated in the hardpoint?
It's definitely more of a credit on the side of Toronto, because the fact that they know what kills they need to get to force those players to spawn out, to execute that break, it's perfect every time. Like, the fact that when they start with that one kill, especially in that P2, they got the one kill in the back, and then the second guy drops, and then they are blocking the spawns at the same time of picking up those kills, so they're going to flip them immediately, and then the third time the player is coming up right behind them, able to get that trade. Like I said, it's just so easy for these guys on their breaks. It's really difficult for other teams to try to break in because their setups are so good, and that's just something that Toronto is so good at doing, especially in hardpoint, is just chaining those kills together, making them all count, and coming out on top with the right play.
Yeah, a great call, my friend. Outslayed by 10, yet they get the W the way that they do. LAG, unfortunately, remain winless in hardpoint so far throughout Stage 4. You see it there. 7-game hardpoint losing streak, currently 0-6 so far throughout stage 4. We talked about how important that game 1 win is, how crucial it's been for a number of different teams so far throughout this season to take down this Ultra roster. They're not able to strike first. You see a very happy Ultra team. Can they find themselves up 2-0 after our next search and destroy? It is set to be a great one. Make sure to stay with us as it's Express up right after this.
The Call of Duty League is presented by the US Army. What's your warrior? USAA is made for gamers. Level up your gear protection with USAA Insurance.
All right, folks. Well, it's the Ultra answering early, feeling good after that hardpoint win. As we said, that could have been a key to success for LAG. We talked about in our keys to victory how big of a game that potentially could have been for the Guerrillas, however, are not able to get it done. Despite what wasn't a dominant slang performance, ultimately was a dominant scoring victory. 250 to 136 is how our first Garrison, or rather our first hardpoint on Garrison ended up going. But Stan, I want to talk to you a little bit more about this guy Insight, because I feel like despite how often we talk about the Ultra, at times he can kind of be that player, but considering that he is a rookie with these numbers, like, I mean, how impressive has it been to see this guy performing the way that he has?
Man, ever since this guy's entered the team, all he's been for this roster is a success story. Like the fact that his overall KD is a 1.11, that's 5th throughout every single team that we have in the CDL. The guy's just Mr. Consistent, and that's the thing that this team was not, that they needed, was just a player who can consistently just throw up the numbers like he does. S&D, obviously, he's sitting #1 overall. And he's definitely #1 priority when it comes to that rookie of the year category. The only player I can see underneath him right now is HyDra, just because of his impact for NYSL. The only difference that they have there is that they haven't won yet. So Insight is definitely rookie of the year right now.
I want to ask you, like, does Insight remind you of a particular like main AR player, kind of like throughout COD history, like the play style, just the way that he maneuvers throughout the map? Does he remind you of any player in particular?
If I'm thinking about it, you know, slow, stationary, mammoth AR, I'll probably have to go with, honestly, it's not as exciting as of a player that he is, but I'm going to go with a comparison to Octane. It's just because Octane, he just does, for the last couple of years, his fundamental AR play has just always been there. The guy's going to get you spawns. He's going to get that 2-piece to at least win the rotation as well. And that's just something that Insight's been able to do ever since he's entered this roster. He's just been a great fit for these guys, especially in those hard points, specifically in that S&D. He just takes over, man, and just the comparison between him and Octane, I feel like they have a lot of similarity.
I'll tell you what, man, they also have kind of a similar comparison to Search and Destroy kind of so far throughout the year. I feel like at times Octane has kind of carried the load for the Surge throughout Search and Destroy. I know last year really wasn't the greatest case of that, but historically has been a great S&D player, and so far from our short sample size of Insight, he has been amazing in S&D, currently holds the #1 KD in the CDL right now, and I know we continue to stack on the positives, but studies you see on the screen there for a moment. Ultra also 5-1 on Express. Insight has a 1.38 KD on Express Search and Destroy. I think it's fair to say the ARs, they have to be primed and ready to try and take that Insight as often as they can.
Yeah, you got to just stay away from that guy at that point because we know how he likes to play this map. He's going to be that island player who's going to be sitting towards top catwalk with that AR, picking people out of that top control room. And he's just so good at doing that, just so good at just maneuvering around the map and playing with his teammates so well that's going to be really difficult to just try to keep track of this guy. But into this first round, you're going to have a little bit of action that was thrown over toward that A bomb that are going to completely catch the players of LAG off guard. Free bomb plan at B, 4v4 retake. This is the best case scenario right now for the Ultra.
Yeah, and I love how they kind of set Insight in a position to succeed, right? He's the one player who can watch the instant cross. If LAG just kind of want to go as fast as they can for the rotation as Cheen falls on top of the train. It is a quick 2 down for the Guerrillas. Vance on the hunt, aware of the positions of the opponents. Is Silly able to drop one up close. Meanwhile, Assault still in the midst of a battle. 15 seconds left, and LAG, they have got to get to that bomb soon. As Silly remains the last player alive. Cammy is there for the trade, and there we have it. Ultra the bait. Ultra the great answer early in the round victory.
That was such a great round, man. They threw so much tacticals at that A-bomb site that LAG put 3 players in towards that control room, and they immediately went from that point of the map to hit straight through catwalk and just went straight to be the planet. Caught the players of LAG off guard. That's why Insight was going to be that island player sitting in the back. Picks up 2 players on the flank, and then Cammy picks up the other 2 as they were wrapping back towards the ramp. Just such a great round right there out of the Ultra.
And I feel like when we talk about LAG, you know, they could be kind of more of a slower, methodical team. I know that that conversation can kind of, I feel like, get a little bit too overused, but I think that's a perfect example right there. Like, Ultra, they have the ability to catch you off guard with their aggression, and then they can punish teams who can kind of move a little bit more slower, methodical throughout the map, as it was expressed there early, but quickly into the action, as it will be Insight left in the 1 versus 3. I don't know about clutch percentage, you know, based off players who can maybe win 1v2s, 1v3s most, but I feel like Insight has been that guy a lot throughout the season, but LAG, they answer back with a great attack round.
Yeah, and that was right there, Toronto. They were just feeling themselves. They decided to just double push right up the middle of the map. And unfortunately, they ran into the pre-aim of Assault. He was able to take down 1 before he got traded, but then Bans, he was immediately traded by Chino. So it turns into a 3v2 situation. They find that player who was trying to make a play towards that B bomb. Eventually, it turns to a 3v1, and they take down Insight. So good round right there out of LAG. Now, the only thing is you have to be ready for these audibles. You cannot be 3-stacking 1 bomb site and then just get caught off guard completely off the rotation. But they're going to chain this up a little bit. They're going to have 1 player playing in the middle of ticket booth, 1 player towards the catwalk steps, and number 2, which is going to be Assault, sitting on that back train watching this A-bomb site. And you're going to see number 8 in that catwalk step, which is going to be Cleanex. He's just trying to time this flank perfectly. But so far, LAG players are not moving, and this should be a free bomb A plant for Toronto.
I don't know if I'm blind, but I even despite us being able to see through walls, I didn't even see who shot Cheen in that situation. So props. I think it was Insight, but just goes to show the attack early, somewhat unknown, but getting shot from multiple angles, starting to sandwich up as Insight is hungry for 2. Bance cleans up the 3rd. Ultra, they put him right where they want him, get him in the sandwich. That will be another round on the board for Toronto.
So that's 2 rounds right now where Toronto had just completely caught them off guard. Like right there, they have a couple players that are a little bit more aggressive towards that B bomb. But they're just getting their bomb plants for free. Like, someone needs to try to contest this. And the LAG players, so far on both offenses, they allow that player who's on the flank, who's going to be the island player, to make a play every time. Like, right there, Cleanex, he was that player in towards catwalk. He comes behind Seany and just finds the easiest kill. They're just catching Guerrillas off guard right now. They really need to just make sure they're spreading map and gaining a lot more information on their defensive rounds.
Instead, I think to start off this round, I saw Insight kind of just firing at a spawn in toward B. And with that, I think it caught Cheen's attention, and you notice LAG kind of from that moment slowed down a little bit. So we've been saying how the tacticals have made quite a bit of noise. This time, Insight not just firing away randomly, but in fact, right on target. Same thing with Cammy. Interesting start to this one. Is action going down on both sides of the map. A quick 2 versus 4 for Guerrillas, and Cleanex watching over his teammate, a free bomb site for the moment, but things can quickly turn around considering the man advantage that Ultra have right now. You see them just not comfortable to put down that bomb until they can at least find a pick, but aBeZy, he gets wiped away. Assault now left in a 1 versus 3. Left between a rock and a hard place. He drops, and that's going to be another round on the board there for Toronto.
Yeah, an insight right there. Great round. He just wraps back towards his lower backside, able to get the first blood onto Chino, which is going to shake up the players. And aBeZy feels like once his teammate dropped, that there's going to be nobody at that A bomb site. But he tries to late flank through that A bomb. Cammy catches him off guard and immediately turns into a 4v2. They know that they can't plant that bomb in a 4v2 situation. You have to try to find a kill, but Toronto, they just collapsed on them and made the round look easy. Toronto up 3-1.
Yeah, essentially looking already at a swing round. LAG, they lose that hard point. Now we're talking about how important the S&D instantly is for them. A major first blood there for Justin Fargo. Silly answers early. They're on to Kleenex. Had a great hardpoint performance, played well, but as we said, this is the overall slang numbers. When Ultra were finding kills, they were impactful. Another free plant here over at A, as it will be a 3-man retake for Guerrillas.
And this is hard because Toronto have control of their base. So even when they think that they can push through their spawn, they can't. Cammy's able to find that kill onto aBeZy. But you're going to see Assault trying to push to the backside. Insight's going to be able to spot him. That's going to get traded as Silly was able to pick up 1 across the map. And now left in a 1v2 situation with 25 seconds left. He's able to spot Insight. But as he spot both, the double challenge looking like some groundhog just popping out of the ground. Able to get that kill for Toronto. Puts them up 4-1.
It's like whack-a-mole, but
this is perfect S&D.
It is, man.
This is perfect S&D right here for Toronto.
Oh, man. 3 rounds straight for the Ultra. And, I mean, we're already getting into this conversation stuff. Like, it is 4-1 right now in favor of Toronto. When we talk about just the entirety of this series, how defining is this? I should say, how defining of a round is this for Guerrillas if they have a chance of walking away with this series at all?
Well, it's huge, man, because obviously they're 0-1. Their S&D has been their backbone all year. But if they lose this, they're going to go into a map that Toronto has played 20 times. And it is going to be their best control, but Toronto, they're really good at that game mode. Last 17 that they've played, they've won 16. So it's really easy for those guys in this game mode. Insight with some great shots to the wall, able to get that first blood. Silly and Assault, they able to find 2. So now it's a 3v2 situation, finally in favor of LAG. But Bance is able to take down Silly. Now it's going to be a 2v2 with 40 seconds remaining on the clock. And both players from LAG at least camping towards the top. And number 2, Silly's going to be Assault is trying to work through the middle of the train, but now it's all left up to Bance.
Left up to Bance, and aBeZy most likely has the audio cue. Bance sitting on the 3 spree. Does that matter? Unfortunately, it will not. Is a much-needed round, as we said, kind of a swing round early. Another one coming up, but I guess the reason why I asked that question is that I just feel like so early for LAG, just games can get away from them. Like the amount of times that they've been in, 2-0 spots where they have to win the control, or even vice versa. Like just a number of different moments where I feel like they've been acting on the back foot. These series for a lot of our teams can just quickly kind of get brought out from underneath them. The rug quickly swept up. So LAG win a must-need round when we talk about this game, based off how great that Ultra have been in that control mode. LAG are able to answer back in the biggest way possible. Down 2-4. Now see what they can do in this next defense. And LAG been so formidable in these S&Ds. Defense has been a primary reason for that. Seems to be a free B plant for the moment, stud.
And this is not good, man. LAG, they just continuously keep 3-stacking at least one of these bomb sites. And Toronto, they're just blind countering every time. So now this is going to be another 4v4 retake. With players having to push to the spawn, they're able to spot Insight, so they're going to get that first blood, and that's such a huge pick, because now the flank is going to be open. One of these players from Toronto are going to be sitting in the catwalk steps. Vance is going to be watching their low side. Cammy's able to find 1, make it a 3v3. The trade is bound to be in, as aBeZy's able to find 1, but time is starting to tick. They need to try to locate these 2 players and get that defuse.
You see aBeZy, he's just looking everywhere that he can. Great shots there on the Vances. Now it all comes down to Kleenex. Able to pick away for the first. Has some sights there onto the bomb, but the defuse has to be in. Tosses out the nade. Can he find the kill onto Silly? Assault quickly punches in the digits, but it will be Silly there for the defense just to ensure that defuse, that deactivation will in fact be a successful one. LAG walking away with these rounds just by the skin of their teeth. You see how important aBeZy was in this one, just searching everywhere he can to clear out this site. Not a whole lot of time, but He finds the kills just when he needs to. LAG back-to-back stud.
Yeah, and that was their first defensive round right there at LAG. And I thought the biggest play right there was them killing inside on the flank, because then the map is open. You can push from both sides. Obviously, you have your spawn control. Now you have their spawn control. So they're all going to be trapped on bomb. Eventually, aBeZy goes in. He's able to find 3 on the round and keep his teammates alive in this game. Toronto, Insight, putting down a couple shots towards the slower B side. He's going to know that the pressure is going to be on, so it's time to back out. Make sure you play your life, and this is going to be a free B-bomb plant for LAG. The 4v4 retake is on as 2 players from Ultra are going from both sides.
Insight almost playing the role of Oz in that moment, just firing away. LAG realizes, you know what, if we push through this, is there actually anybody back here? Nope, not at all. Simply just Insight. Now on to the retake as the plant is in nice and early. Good control for Guerrillas. Can they bring this one to a 4-4 heading as Bance walks away with the first, and the SMGs continue to deal the damage. Insight from the back is able to help secure the 3rd player, but now it comes down to a 1 versus 1. 15 seconds on the clock. Silly versus Insight, and it's the Røkkr who wins it out. Winsight indeed, giving Toronto their 5th round. A dagger, without a doubt there.
So right there was a 2v1 situation. Silly was able to find the first, but the clock wasn't in his favor. Insight knew as much time as he had the time to wrap around that ticket booth and still find that kill as the Crimsix come in that he has yet to leave that building. So with 14 seconds left, he puts himself in a great position to get that kill and then eventually pick up that defuse. And that one kind of hurts if you're LAG, because it was a 4-4 retake. Fortunately, you get first blooded. Trades don't go in your favor, and then you lose that round to now put Toronto at game point, where they have been dominating on their all-offensive rounds. LAG need to have an answer here. I do not want to see a 3-stack towards 1 bomb, because so far Ultra have just been playing mind games with these guys, but they're deciding to 3-stack towards A. Hopefully this is going to work out for them like in their very first defensive round win.
See if it works out. Did they choose correctly over at A? And, well, they may not even have the choice. I don't know if Ultra have really set into motion exactly what it is that they want to do. Most likely testing the waters, seeing exactly how their battlefield looks as 2 line up. The trade, in fact, is in. Player 8 making his way through middle. That's going to be Kleenex. And how about that win there versus Cheen? Gives his team the numbers and also can set up for that rotation, a rotation that Toronto are not going to take lightly.
Yeah, now with 40 seconds left, they know that the bomb plant is going to be going over towards this B-bomb. So he's going to be this player in a position to try to eliminate him. He's not able to spot the player as he goes for that bomb plant. He's going to give up his position with that shot coming in. Bomb's going to be down, so now both players are going to be in towards ticket booth. aBeZy should have an engagement here soon, and Assault and aBeZy able to find 2. So now it's a 1v1 situation. Assault knows he's one shot. You got to get out of this, but Kleenex, has he read this wrong? Does he not know that he's in the catwalk steps? The sound cue is going to come in, so turning his face to the right, but Assault's going to be under the fuse.
Kleenex,
get him.
He does! Kleenex checks it. And what a play from the Great Dane. Makes the call, gets the read, and locks up the search and destroy. Some big rounds needed from Kleenex, but he answers exactly when he needs to. Holds off the frenzy, and holds off the momentum there for the Guerrillas as Toronto now find themselves up 2-0 in this series. A great beginning for this team, and you could argue a more impressive closeout considering the clutches that were needed. Stud, I mean, tell you what, man, it hurts if you're a Guerrilla fan for them to be losing search and destroys like this. Last time these teams played, which is around a month ago, went to around 11. This time around, not so much the same.
It's not, man, and it's just the mind games that Toronto were able to set off the rip. The very first round, they threw about 6 tacks at that A-bomb site. Yeah. That forces a couple players from LAG to just turtle up towards that ticket booth area, towards that top control building. And unfortunately, they just went all the way through catwalk and got a free bomb plant. And that's exactly what they were doing the entire early rounds, was just catching them off guard. Complete blind counters right there out of the Ultra. Obviously, they went back and did their homework, and it definitely showed, at least in the early stages of that game.
Yeah, it definitely did. Like there was, like I said, a number of different moments where they were kind of selling the plays, right? They were kind of making it seem as if there was a push going one way. We talked about rotations, how common that is for this team. On maps like Moscow, and obviously you see it here on Express as well. Just a great overall performance from Ultra. When we talk about their offense, their defenses, at some point, Stud, you said it was perfect S&D, and For a while, it definitely seemed as if that was the case. A great win for this team. As now we'll go and take a look at our U.S. Army tactical play. As we said, a number of different major rounds that kind of define this one. A clutch round is the way that we're going to be looking at this. Stud, what are you seeing here?
So this is the 4v4 retake. LAG, they are able to get that bomb play. You see Cleanex, he's coming through this side catwalk steps. Puts out some early shots, but doesn't commit to the gunfight. So that allows the player on his team, Bance, to hit the flank. And at perfect timing, Cleanex is able to come around the other player and get that trade. So obviously those two drop. So it turns into a 2v2 and then immediately traded by Bance. Now it's a 1v1 between Silly and Inside. And just look at that clock. There's 15 seconds left. Inside knows he is yet to leave this ticket booth area. So it's all about just finding this player, taking your time to pick up the kill and get the defuse. And he just played it perfectly, man. That's why he's #1 overall. When we talk about this game mode in KD, the guy just has so much patience and just believes that whenever he's pre-aiming down a lane of sight, someone is going to walk in front of him. And it just works out for him every time.
Absolutely, my friend. The rookie filled with confidence. And a great way to lock up this search and destroy as the Ultra, as we said, find themselves up 2-0. Can raid control be the answer for Guerrillas, or can this just be another 3-0 sweep in the cards for Ultra? We'll have all those questions and more answered right after this break.
Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Seany, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Seany Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting seany.com/gaming.
They can win it here. Røkkr can take the map, take the series, dominate the North with these final 8 points. Scrambling in is Ultra. Can they get in? Can they slow it down? Can they get to a map 5? They can't do it. It's a Røkkr victory.
That doesn't fire you up. I don't know what will. Just many of the sights and sounds, things to be excited for when we talk about that stage 4 major. Folks, we are returning back to LAN. It is going to be an incredible experience, June 17th to the 20th. Make sure to be tuning into the broadcast, of course, here on YouTube Gaming. It is going to be a blast. I cannot wait, Stud. I know we talked about a number of different things that we're excited for. You and I were even talking about this in the break just a moment ago, saying like, there's just so many guys who we're just excited to see in this LAN environment. It's going to be a blast, my friend.
Yeah, I'm super excited for LAN to come back, man. And obviously, we know for the Stage 4 Major, there won't be fans. But when eventually fans get back in, let me tell you, that's like a whole different battery in your back. They provide energy that you never felt before. You feel like a superhuman playing against everyone. It's a great feeling, man. But just looking at Toronto Ultra's control record since April 10th, 16-1. KD sitting at second, attacking rounds at second, defensive rounds at second. These guys are just, this is their game mode, man. Like, we should just change the name of it to Toronto Ultra. Like, it's over for control because they are just so good at this game mode. The fact that they have so much teamwork in this and they know how to execute every play. And on a map like Raid, this is going to be easy work for them because this is one of their maps that they have played 20 times. They know exactly how to play every situation. Bans and Kleenex, making sure you're taking control of that kitchen area to force those spawns to either spawn in back laundry or basketball to set up those spawn kills. It's easy for Toronto. Hopefully LAG can show a little fighting chance in this game mode to stay alive in this series.
Oh man, and it's not going to be easy. As we said, LAG, if they do lose this game, will in fact be in the elimination bracket for that stage 4 major. And I know we kind of continue on that conversation, how exciting it is going to be in that LAN atmosphere. Unfortunately, for a few of our rosters, they're going to be, like I said, with one series. Like, they have literally one series potentially of life, and LAG very well could be one of those rosters that literally are going to start in the elimination bracket. Meaning you could go home after playing one game and that's it. We're all super hyped about LAN, how great of an opportunity it's going to be, how wonderful an environment it's going to be for all the players to be able to reunite. And then you just walk in and play one series. A great opportunity potentially for the Guerrillas to start to bring this one back. But as we've said, Stud, Ultra, we might as well name the game mode after them at this point. Unbelievable in their last 17 games. Phenomenal performance, and as we said, Raid is the one that they have the most experience on. Experience commonly a synonym we use for a team like the Guerrillas. Veterans on this roster. We'll see if they can hold off the onslaught, and doing so early in these initial fights. It's aBeZy nearly finding 3 straight, but presence without a doubt felt for Guerrillas as finally Ultra looked to fire back.
And that was a great start right there from LAG to just shut down that initial push from Ultra, gain some more map control, and put your team in the advantage in that live count. So now you have players like Silly who have the ability to hit that flank towards Art. Unfortunately, he's going to get shot in the back and most likely he's going to drop. But just such a great start to not give up that early point to Toronto that easy. They still have that live advantage. Eventually, the progression is going to start going up on this 8 point. So you have to try to make a decision. Do you want to continuously throw lives at this, or you just want to get this up and play the 2-minute defense? Right now with the player in Silly still sitting in towards top laundry. Some great shots onto Kleenex, able to shut him down. But unfortunately, he's going to get traded by Insight. So it's going to be a 2 live advantage for 2 minutes of defense. They can definitely get this done. As you see, aBeZy already has bedroom control.
Yeah, great setups early from Guerrillas. They know the game plan, and about this flank set up for aBeZy. He doesn't just stay inside of bedroom, but in fact makes the flank a success. As Silly able to put in the 3rd. A great sequence there for the Guerrillas once more. Unfortunately for them, they were not able to hold off the push being made toward A, but they just had a few of these sparks just early on in this round that have showed this team is not going down without a fight. Another flank possibly set up as Cammy drops. Silly is there for the instant reply. Great plays so far from Silly on the 4 spree. Meanwhile, it's Insight, though, leading in that streak conversation. Now sits on 5 in a row. And how great those could be for either of these sides to get early on in this game. Assault, ready, prepared. Minute and 10 on the clock, and Toronto, again, just have yet to make it past that 50-yard line. As one falls, Silly only continues.
This is where it gets scary because now Bance is in kitchen, so they have that control. They're picking up kills out of the bedroom. Bance is still spawn killing a couple players, but unfortunately he's going to get traded by Silly. So now that leaves it up to Kleenex to try to keep this position for his team to try to get pushed up, and he's going to push himself to the back of basketball court. He's going to be able to pick up this kill, and this is going to be a great setup right here for the Ultra. Obviously, they have to watch water steps. They have to get their money window. They're just doing a great job of just getting some early progression. The first tick is in. Unfortunately, 3 players are going to drop in. LAG, they answer on the defensive hold, and they should be able to close out this round with a 12-3 live remaining.
You like their chances now at 2 versus 12. And good luck if you're inside Kleenex in this moment. I guess if you're LAG, you can just reflect on what has been a very successful start. As we said, just a number of different moments where Ultra kind of gave it their best. LAG just come through with much better setups and walk away with, I must say, a solid and very convincing round, considering how great that we know Ultra are in control, and specifically on these raid offenses.
Yeah, and that was just great plays right there out of Cellium and aBeZy. That SMG duo were doing such a great job at just causing problems for the Ultra in their face. aBeZy hit the flank not once, but twice from bedroom, and it was a success story both times. And Cellium, he was doing a great job at just holding down that middle P5, just allowing his teammates to stay pushed up towards bedroom. No one was dropping, so no one had to fill any gaps. That was just great plays right there out of LAG.
And I fucking can't be understated how impactful a player like aBeZy is. Obviously, he starts off 10-5. You see Cellium, the SMGs who just kind of really struggled kind of so far throughout this stage. As we've talked about Cellium, you know, KDs have just not really been there for him. But the impact of a player like aBeZy, that you've played with this guy, if he's getting loud, the team is going to get motivated off of that. And who knows, maybe that round in particular could be just what they need to get back in this series.
Yeah, and when aBeZy's playing like that, there's absolutely no player on this earth I think that can touch him, because around champs time is when you see full capacity, what aBeZy is usually supposed to be like. And obviously going towards the end of the year, it's all about just putting in more time, getting more reps, getting more consistent in your gameplay. But Bance, he's just running around Art, just picking up kills left and right. And so far, LAG haven't found the opening. They're able to get that kill on the Cammy towards B. So finally, some progression is going to go on. That's going to allow Chino to win that engagement from water steps. Trades going back and forth. And just so far, LAG are trying to fight for this B control nice and early.
So that's really one thing that has held back LAG have been these attack rounds. It has been attack all season long, ranked number 12 in attack rounds on the season. They are 9-36 on the year with a 0.83 KD. Some great progress being made at B before Cellium drops. aBeZy's still alive, but again, like we said, attacking rounds have not been good for Guerrillas. They're just looking for double digits so far here in the CDL. aBeZy hanging back here could definitely be the lifeline that they need. 38 seconds left, but with Insight pushed up as far as he has been. Granted, that B progress is nice, but really, what can you do off of that? Ultra, they've read exactly what the play is about to be. Another one found for Insight as Assault's the last man up, alive toward the point. And you see Ultra, they're beginning to surround it.
Yeah, they're just completely disregarding aBeZy until he's able to get in that play. Finally, he's going to pick up a kill towards Laundry, but that's going to be immediately traded. The challenge is going to come in from Cellium. He's able to win that. But with 19 seconds left, if you're the Ultra, you're just throwing some lives at that. You want this round to end before they even capture that point. A trade is going to come in for a CleanX. But still, there's only one player on this 8-point. First tick is finally going to come in. You see the aggression from Ultra starting to come through that middle pillars, but two players from LAG are able to find those kills. So 8 points should be captured, and time should be extended by a minute.
Oh, man. How about the crazy plays from Cammy as he just continues to poke away at the opponent? Just making LAG's lives that much more difficult toward the 8 points. So like we said, they're able to get the job done. Cellium, the boys, they go big. They're able to stay alive, and now it's just down to one tick, right? One tick, a lot easier said than done, but you can find that spread if you can get that coordination down. This very well could be around here for LAG, but just as we say that, Insight, Bance, they combined for 2. Cheen, the farthest pushed up player. And with that, they have to be careful. A gunfight loss here from LAG could be disastrous considering how Top Mansion works. They look to force their way through. 3 solid as Cellium goes swimming for a moment. He quickly falls down. The swim trunks are off, and Insight is having a great performance. 4 in a row. Cammy's picking off players from spawn. Ultra answering back just when we start to call on their names. They are here in a dramatic fashion. Ultra, they walk away with a nice defensive round themselves.
Yeah, and that was a good hold right there out of the Ultra, because that one got a little scary. But just keep in mind, if it does get to that round number 5, LAG put themselves in a position to get that defense with 2 progression ticks towards that B point. Now, obviously, LAG, they shut down that initial push from the Ultra on their very first defense. Let's see if the Ultra try to do the same thing. Insight currently sitting on a 4 spree, trying to work towards some streaks. Last time they capped this 8 point, the guy didn't even die. Like, he went back to the spawn, he came back, he was still on the 6 spree, won off some streaks. So this can be a really big play if Insight can get some streaks early into this round.
We'll see how they look to try to play around him in these spots. And unfortunately, that's not the way you want to start off a control round. So we're trying to play for streaks here, and we're taking out teammates. Not exactly the greatest coordination, but at the very least, they're still gaining some time. They're still 1 tick through and walking away with kills. So despite what was an unfortunate beginning to this round, still allows for the Ultra to have prime positioning over at A, and that 4 spree still intact for Insight. But how about the sneaky plays from Assault? Taking down Insight may in fact be the primary focus now. His insight now extends the streak to 5, or rather make it 6, excuse me. Does in fact earn the artillery, and with that also should be good to capture that A point. Big moment there in this game for Toronto.
Yeah, so with that artillery, that's going to be huge. The only thing is that LAG currently have control of bedroom, so the trades need to go in. Insight needs to try to pick up this cruise missile. He's just going to take his time, wait for his teammates to try to fight through that middle of the map, trying to take control of that bedroom, as that kill will get traded. But when will aBeZy decide to attack? His Insight is looking for this kill tremendously. The ping is going to come in for that artillery. That's going to set up that player who's going to run the back, which is going to be Bance. But unfortunately, he's going to drop. 2 players actually drop. So now that allows LAG to push up for more map control. Insight's going to get aggressive in towards Kitchen with the help of Kleenex. They're just fighting for that map control. Just keep in mind, number 2, Assault on the flank has the potential to make this play.
Does indeed. Assault gonna go and wrap around toward Garage. Another unfortunate team kill, and Insight so angrily, still waiting for the 7th, the cruise. He can at least smell it at this point.
He just wants it.
He does indeed.
Just give it to him.
Kleenex finding the kill with the pistol. Could in fact set up another great moment, but Silly once more so solid so far throughout this series. What has been an 0-2 performance so far for the Guerrillas. Justin Fargo has risen above and beyond. Can Insight find the 7th? He does. The gunfight lost inside of money still will earn him the streaks as 3 strong.
I think he popped a streak.
On the point.
Insight right here. Just pop it. You win. You don't even need it.
They may not. Assault from the top. Vance turns and burns. Ultra. There you have it. Around.
Yeah, so right there, it was just Insight. He just caused so many problems, and he wasn't doing anything in Kitchen. Just taking his time to sit in that corner to try to pick up that kill. You saw how LAG, they were approaching it through the backside. They were checking every single corner. They knew that Insight was streaking, and unfortunately, they gave him that kill, so he was able to pick up both sets. So now that finds Ultra up 2-1 going into the defensive round. Silly, he's having himself a series, man. He was dead last. Dead last in the KD as that submachine gun, but so far he's been playing really well for these guys. They just need to have an answer, or at least force the streaks out of Insight nice and early into this round, because the way that they play their very first offense, only needing 1 tick towards B, they just have to keep that up. Just have to get Insight to use these streaks to have a chance here.
G making some good progress to start. aBeZy and the SMGs, rather the other SMG, begin to heat on up. Does have the nice coordination there as Gene is watching his back. So LAG able to clear out one side of the map, and now the progress, the instant focus begins now toward B with the ever-existent awareness of that streak that could come in at any moment from Insight. Amy still wheeling the damage. Like I said, A gonna go in the hands of Guerrillas. 2 minutes and 8 seconds on the clock. What can they do with it? A spot that has become quite well known. Quite synonymous with this player. 23-10, looks to try and extend it for now. Between 2 ferns, LAG, no laughing matter, as they will be able to clean up the kills that are necessary. And the flank only continues with that kill on the Kleenex.
And they're picking up kills on the bottom of basketball as well, so that's going to force a couple players from Toronto to spawn out towards top laundry. It's all going to be left up to Cammy. He's going to have full bedroom control, but the pinch is going to be there. Chino is able to win that engagement. And then off spawn, unfortunately, Bance is able to catch Assault, and that's going to give him the artillery. So now you have 2 sets of streaks on the side of the Ultra. He's going to be able to spot one player trying to earn that cruise missile, but the trophy's going to come in and take down Chino by himself. Fortunate play right there to Chin, but yeah, they were able to walk back in and take control. So now LAG coming off the spawn at the minute 20. They just need to make sure that they keep bedroom control.
The key to victory. It's the key to success. Where trophies have got to be in that top 5 MVP candidate. It's true. They are so good. Unbelievable. How many streaks have they ended? How many moments have they caused to collapse as Bance does in fact earn the cruise? So as we said, streaks on Bance quite firmly. Great moment here for Ultra to possibly wrap up this game, but how do LAG rise above it? As Kleenex. He and Silly have had a number of different great interactions so far, but none superior than that. A great 3 spree. They're out of Insight. Just totally wipes out one portion, one particular side of the map. And LAG just fighting to get out of their base with 30 seconds left. Now becomes the reign of terror. Trying to stay alive in their mansion, but it is quite stormy outside. LAG, 20 seconds on the clock, and it does not get any easier from here. Dance rolls on through, does take down App. And now it's Insight's turn. Just one streak after another. LAG, when will this terror come to an end? When will this storm conclude? Is it his fireworks right now on raid? One player alive, it's aBeZy. He's gone swimming, can he stay alive? Unfortunately not, and with that, 3 games to 0. Ultra walk away with the sweep and give us a lovely fireworks show to close it out.
A lovely fireworks show to close it out, man. That was 30 seconds. They started just raining the streaks. It started with the artillery out of bands, and then he drops the cruise missile. Make sure it's taking its time on its way down. And then don't worry, I got mine in my back pocket, Insight says. His streaks come out, and that just forces LAG. Eventually, we got to get out of this bedroom. We got to get to that point and stop this clock from going and still try to keep alive. But Toronto, just way too strong in control, man. They make it look easy in that map number 3. Obviously, the first round, when they lost their first offensive push, LAG showed great life. That initial push, getting 4 dead, getting that map control, aBeZy and Silly, just being aggressive with those SMGs, showed them a lot, showed me a new face for these guys, especially in this game mode. But as the rounds went on, as Toronto got more comfortable, they just made it look easy, man. Bance and Insight really took over there.
Yeah, they absolutely did. 3-1, improving for the Ultra here in Group B, and well, you see just the numbers there, 4-0 so far, 9th sweep this season, just a number of different accolades on the Ultra side, and obviously it's one team who wins, one team who unfortunately does not. It'll be LAG, now 0-4 here in stage 4, and also 1-9 in their last 10. And it's crazy to think about stuff because, again, I thought there was a lot of bright moments, a lot of good moments here for LAG. We talked about the slang, how that really wasn't too much of a factor in the hardpoint. Search and destroy at times look good, but just you see those double 7 sprees, right, from Bance and Insight that ultimately cause the biggest of differences. Maybe some moments of greatness from LAG in regards to the SMG side of things, but clearly not enough today for what was a very, very good looking Ultra as expected.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough, but it was a good showing out of the SMG players for LAG. Yeah. Like we said, Silly was sitting dead last in KD throughout all of Stage 4, but he really stepped up that series. That series was mainly on the Assault Rifle players. Chino and Assault just didn't have a good series. Insight and Cammy really took over. If all 4 of those players can get on the same page, that's when we see LAG at their best, obviously. But just right now, it's just inconsistent for these guys, especially in the hard point. Like, it's got to be so devastating when you're rotating early to a hard point and then you're just initially broken. They have to work on their setups going forward.
Yeah, when we talk about a number of different important plays, let's go and take a look at our scuff play of the game. In regards to this control, I believe we're taking a look back at round number 2. I mean, what's that? We're talking about it. LAG, they're able to answer early. Toronto, a nice defensive hold here for them as they were able to answer back in a big way.
Yeah, this is just Insight just causing so many problems, and I thought this was going to be the opening for LAG. Once they found both players towards that bedroom, I thought that was what they needed to try to push out, but Insight fills the gap perfectly, able to come down water steps, take down one, and then take down the second, and just keep that spree going on to the next round to eventually pick up streaks. That's just something that Ultra are really good at, man, is just filling the gaps and making the play happen, and they get the job done there to close it out.
They do indeed. Toronto, you see the reaction there, some relief, just some overall hype, and maybe a little bit of laughter considering how many streaks that were coming down toward the end of that 4th and final round. A dagger indeed. As now we'll go and take a look at the road to the major. That road not too much longer. A nice game set up for them versus the New York Subliners to close things out. So that's going to be a game to watch without a doubt. Mark your calendars, folks.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm so excited for that match because obviously when you put Toronto, it's really difficult to see who the second best team that we have in the CDL, but we're finally going to get our answer. Between New York and Ultra obviously the better control team, but New York are the better hardpoint team. So that's going to be just a battle from start to finish.
Without a doubt, my friend, it's going to be a brawl indeed. As now we're going to take a look at how Social is reacting to this. Of course, our Astro Social soundboard. This one coming through from Harry. It says, Toronto Ultra's comms are by far and away the best in the league. So calm, but full of every detail you need. Hashtag strength in the north. So that, I think, Harry brings up a great point. Harry brings up a phenomenal point. We talked about the comms, how great that those were in the hardpoint. Cammy really kind of leading the troops in a number of different ways, and obviously that very well could have been the difference maker at different moments. LAG, a crafty team, but constantly called out, constantly found out from their opposition, as now that marks 0-4 for the Guerrillas in Stage 4 with their final game left up versus the Royal Raven.
Yeah, it just hasn't been good for these guys throughout Stage 4. Obviously, they're pretty consistent in their losses at 1-3, 0-3, 1-3, 0-3, but it's just not good when you're not getting any wins. You have world champions in your team. Obviously, you're going to go to LAN and just be super excited to be back in that environment, regardless if you're in loser's bracket or winner's bracket. They just need to have some confidence, man, because they've only won 2 maps so far throughout all of Stage 4. They need to turn the ship around, at least give a good performance in their last final match heading into that major.
Yeah, we talk about veteranship. Experience, unfortunately, was not able to answer the call today, as the Ultra do walk away with a nice commanding 3-0 to start off day number 1. But folks, the action does not end here. We do have an interview after this game. It is going to be a very, very happy Benjamin Bance, joined alongside by Lottie after the break. Make sure and stay with us.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Unlock a CDL team pack with any purchase on gamefuel.com/CDL while supplies last. Offer ends on August 31st. Tournament audio and team listen-ins are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
Hello and welcome to your Game Fuel Victory Spotlight. Joining me, I have the wonderful Bance from Toronto Ultra. First of all, bro, congratulations on that dub. Epic stuff from you guys as per usual. Now, you got one more match coming on Sunday against NYSL. Did you guys kind of like circle them out at the beginning of this stage? Did you guys have your eye on this match right from the get-go as the stage began?
Kind of, yeah. Obviously, they've just come off a second. They're probably they're one of the best teams in the game right now, alongside Atlanta. So that's probably the match that we were looking for to like the battle of first seed. No disrespect to any other teams. It's just obviously they were like the big dogs in the group.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I had an inkling you might have been looking at them, that's for sure. I'll tell you what, though, you guys are the most dominant team in the league when it comes to control, and in many other aspects, I must say. But are you prepared going up against New York, especially with their respawn, their S&D coming up as well? Are you happy with those 2 game modes for you guys?
Yeah, we're confident against any team probably in those game modes. feel like control, we probably like are most prepared. I feel like we've got a good balance when it comes to control. S&D is just all about preparation and how you can adapt on the day, you know. So it depends on the maps and stuff, but I think we've got a good chance.
Love it, man. Now, of course, we're heading to LAN for this major. I'm so excited. Are you excited? How are you guys feeling about going back to LAN?
Yeah, I'm excited. The whole team's excited. I feel like there's a lot of like a stigma around us of like we won't be as good on LAN, our comms won't be as good on LAN. But I don't really tend to take notice of it. I feel like the team's probably gonna perform the exact same. Like, it doesn't really matter if you're LAN or online. If you're playing together as a team, you're gonna do well. And that's really what we've been focusing on, especially our comms. Like, we've worked on our comms quite a lot. So I feel like if we just keep doing what we're doing, playing together, I feel like we'll do the exact same as what we do online.
Amazing stuff. Do you know what, Vance? I don't believe those people for a second. I think you guys are going to be more than capable of bringing home plenty of dubs when we go to LAN. You guys are absolutely incredible. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Amazing stuff, Vance, as per usual. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Before we go, as requested by Marky B, he told me to say happy birthday to Adam. So there we go. Just before we go.
There we go. Big happy birthday to Adam. Vance, thank you so much, man. And Adam, big shout out for your birthday, mate. Hope you have an incredible day. We've heard from Vance now from Toronto Ultra. Looking pretty good, Ultra, I must say. I'm very excited to see what they're going to be doing on Sunday against New York. But don't worry, that's not it, folks. We have another match coming your way. Next up, we got OpTic versus Surge. It's a big battle here. OpTic need to seal this deal. Surge need to prove they can do this also. We'll see you guys right after the break.
The Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G.
Welcome back, guys and gals, to the LA Thieves Home Series. It is day one as we take a nice little look at the Disney Concert Hall. How about that? Wish I could go there, but unfortunately, I'm stuck in Dallas, Texas, in my bedroom, which is where I'm happy to be because I get to bring you all the action, of course, myself and Stud for the call, as we've got a great way to close out the day. OpTic Chicago taking on the Seattle Surge. Some big implications. In Group A so far throughout Stage 4, currently FaZe primarily sitting at 4-0. A victory here for OpTic would be big. Does not guarantee anything, but it surely sets them in a good pace. A win here would put them at 3-1. A loss here for Surge would not treat them so kindly, so that a loss here for Surge does in fact guarantee them a elimination bracket slot. They're at the stage for Major. Again, another awesome series to come. I'm hoping for not back-to-back 3-0s. We got to at least get ourselves a game 4, but we deserve it.
Yeah, man, I feel like the last 7 series that we've casted have all been 3Ls. I don't want to put that into the air, but it kind of sucks. I want to see these matches go all the way to the end. And in this series, obviously, you got OpTic, who throughout Stage 4, the only match that they have looked normal was versus Atlanta, which they just got destroyed, and that's been 2 times now. But on the opposite side, you have Seattle, who have yet to just find their footing, man. They are currently on a 10-game losing spree, 0-3 in this stage. They need to start building some confidence, and hopefully, knowing that you're going to land for that major, that'll start changing up for a little bit for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know OpTic has talked about, how excited that they are to get to land this W here could kind of set them on a nice course to eventually get theirs. We are not far away, friends. We are not far away by any means. But again, a team that has looked totally different since that Stage 3 major, have totally turned around what was kind of a dry spell for a moment, is in fact our next team. Let's go and meet the crew, OpTic Chicago.
Mighty keeps it going normal. Looking fantastic. Envoy slaying his way through. Scump from up high, the king.
I'm out here doing what they thinking is irrational.
Really starting to run that score up.
I'm gonna make it back. I'm gonna make it back, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, OpTic Gaming are back. Chicago are a force to be reckoned with.
There you have it. You gotta be feeling good, stud. If you are an OpTic fan right now, it just seems as if they've really kind of turned around the tide. As we said, since that Stage 3 major, they just seem to kind of hit a switch and have kind of returned back somewhat to the OpTic who started off the season.
Yeah, and it's good because when they were in that slump, the biggest thing that took an impact was their hardpoint game. And the fact that they went on to that major, they were able to get a top 4 placing and then bring it on to Stage 4 and just continue in that path. The only loss that they have is versus Atlanta FaZe, but so far their respawns have been great. They've been turning up in that hardpoint game. Every time, the thing that they had a problem with before was just their setups, and that was just something that they definitely have been working on. As Scump, he's just taking a lot of long routes, and that's why the guy is just stepped up to a whole different level. I'm pretty sure he's sitting at a 1.16 KD so far throughout Stage 4. The guy is just really doing all the dirty work, and it's showing because their hardpoint game has only been improved.
It has been, my friend. Their hardpoint has looked fantastic. They're just seeming to kind of hit the same levels, again, that we kind of expect for this team to reach. But one roster who is desperately trying to spoil the party, a team that, again, if a loss today, they will, in fact, be in the elimination bracket coming in toward that Stage 4 major. They're looking to break the losing streak. Can they do it today? Let's go ahead and meet the Seattle Surge. Fire coming in, but can Prestinni win the 2? No. He does. That's 3 straight.
He's trying to get out there. He challenges and he wins it. Behind a classic. Trying to line him up. Trying to line him up in the final.
Looking to find a few more, but Gunless absolutely rips his way through the 3 of them.
249. 249. Seattle won.
It has been a long road for these guys, the Seattle Surge. It is fair to say, stud, that they are in desperate need of a win. A win here today would totally change up their confidence.
Yeah, man, they're in desperate need of a win, like you said, man. Currently on a 10-game loss spree. That's the highest that we have on the record for any team in the CDL. Last year was Minnesota. This year it's Seattle. But just when you talk about this team, this is a team that's just so close at almost winning. Like, that's the thing about Seattle, is that they have the firepower, they have the talent to get the job done, but they just can't get it done, and that's the thing. But let's just hop right into our game field keys to victory for Seattle. SnD used to be the Surge's backbone. Haven't been able to rely on it in this stage. Currently sitting at 0-4 today. This is not good because obviously they went to a Game 5 versus LA Thieves. They lose that series in a 3-2 series. And then the SMGs need to turn it around today. SnD so far, Prestinni's at a 0.8, which is sitting at 46 throughout the entire CDL, and Classic at a 0.73. They're back-to-back, 46 and 47. Both of those guys need to be on point because Gunless and Octane, they've been playing great so far. And then obviously that last key to victory, you just need to make sure that they build the momentum nice and early for this team. This has been so hard because you know that control struggle. If they can come out and try to take that control map, they're currently on a 10-game loss streak in that game mode as well. It'd be really difficult, man. They're sitting in that 12th spot. They need to turn up today.
Yeah, they have to turn it up today, but we'll go and now transfer the conversation now to OpTic for our game fuel keys to victory here for Chicago. Start off this series hot, right? Do not give the Surge the chance to answer early. Do not give any unnecessary confidence to a team that could really use it right now, right? Also on that same sheet of music, SMGs, they have improved drastically from stage 3 to stage 4. You see Envoy goes from a 1.01 to a 1.06, most notably the King from a 1 to a 1.16, his best stage to date up into this point so far throughout this season. And then finally, Formal hasn't been the greatest in control, currently sits at last right now in stage 4 with that KD of a 0.53. We talked about Lan, obviously he's been quite outspoken about it, just says cannot wait to get there. And you know, despite what currently has been more of a lackluster performance in that game mode stud, the rest of the team has rallied. As we said, the SMGs, they've been on point. Dashy has been lining it up, especially in those hard points. Speaking of hard points, our first one is in fact going to be on Raid Moscow S&D for game 2. Checkmate sits in the center and also will in fact be our game 4 for the hardpoint. And if it comes down to it, a Raid S&D will in fact be the finish line. So that as we take a look through these maps, we'll go and focus in on that first one, Raid hardpoint to start. How do you feel about this one specifically for Seattle, right? We've talked about this team situation that they're in. We have a good understanding of what most likely is going to be OpTic Chicago today, but how do you feel about the Surge on this map specifically?
I really like the Surge on this map because they obviously have a better record sitting at 4-2. On the opposite side, you have Chicago who are at 4-5. But just looking at those maps, if it gets to that control and if it gets to the later parts of this series, it's heavily favored for OpTic. Obviously, we know the struggles for Seattle when you talk about that control game mode, but even on hardpoint checkmate, they're sitting at 2-6, where OpTic, they've only lost it once and they've won it 7 times. So they need to come out and have an early response, at least in this first map, because that next map in Moscow, OpTic have played it 11 times. They went 5-5 multiple times, they got 1v3 multiple times, and they know the ins and out of that map. So Seattle, they need to have an answer early on this map number 1.
They do, and so far in opening hardpoint, Seattle, they've been quite solid, right? I think they're 2-1 in opening hardpoint so far. HP has been their success, 3-2 in hardpoint so far throughout stage 4. And we also had that same conversation for OpTic. They were 3-1 in hardpoint so far in stage 4, as it is a headbutt not just in this game mode, but also in the opening phase toward our P1, as Octane is out to play to start things off on a nice little 3 spree before getting shut down by Envoy.
I just saw Prestinni with an AR. I don't know if that's the initial gunfight thing that they were trying to work up to try to get some early kills to get that map control. But we'll see how that turns out. As Scump, he's holding down Laundry to the best of his ability. He's able to get 4 kills in a row. He's going to turn around and get the 5th. Already going to be on a 5 spree, and that's a good way to start the game for the King, man. Unfortunately, not able to pick up some streaks, but gives his teammates enough time to get that map control and to gain some good time off of this P1.
And with the push that they have set up, you do see one player kind of off of spawn. That's going to be Classic, who's making his way through middle. And he will, in fact, decide to make his way from water side. Meanwhile, Gunless is setting up a nice little range toward the outside, taking down players left and right. OpTic did have a nice little sequence going, but it's Pierce who's left to try and shut it down. He doesn't even know where he's getting fired at. And Scump will continue on a nice little spree of his own, but Gunless has locked things down to start. Seattle, 20 unanswered seconds so far at Kitchen. Scump looking to try and change that up as 2 picks come toward the outside of this point. Scump making his way through money, now sitting on 8-2. OpTic looking for the break.
And this is a hard point that OpTic have been struggling with all year. Even when they're set up or when they're trying to break in, they just can't get it done. In Seattle, they're able to win the engagements to put themselves in position to get this remaining 15 seconds. That's going to force OpTic to hit the early rotation towards that garage. But yeah, this has been a struggle for OpTic the entire time. Whenever they are early set up, they allow teams to break in with 1 push, then they get flipped out. But then when the opposite team is set up, OpTic are just trying to work around the back, trying to flip those spawns, not coming from multiple different angles. So it's really difficult for that team to get in, but they're going to be early off the rotation towards this P3. Some early setup. The only thing is the pressure is going to be here as 2 Seattle players are going to be on the verge, but Formal with some great shots, able to eliminate both, and now all 4 players from OpTic are on this side of the map. Now it's all about pushing out, keeping that map control, and gaining some good time.
And how important of a 2-piece that was from Matthew Piper. Shuts down the players inside a garage, and that is a hard point that OpTic desperately needs to grab, and they very well could in fact take the lead once this HP comes to a close. As a great response comes through from OpTic, as they will be able to take the lead off of this hill. As we'll go and step aside and go to an Astro listening with OpTic Chicago.
Yeah, we're looking for Nick over here.
You guys will play laundry, just have to wait for me kitchen, okay?
He's top, he's low ring.
He's lowering on me, Chill.
One shot. White van. One shot white van.
We got close shot white van. Go close shot white van.
Yeah, I'm trying to come.
Gotta go around laundry still. I'm close.
He's in P1. He's in P1.
There's that hill Nick. I mean, there's that hill Nick. Not weak. He's outer hill.
Outer ring. Outer ring.
Spawn front.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit laundry. Hit laundry with me, Dill.
Oh yeah, I will.
Laundry with me.
Yeah.
Brandon, you
Yo, one was Tiki. One's challenging out front hill. One was front.
Mack.
I'm coming to catch him.
Flash jungle.
I'm about to shot tree.
Ready for this?
Close up, dead.
Tree, Nick.
I'll kill Nick.
I'm hitting him.
Nick dead. Back left.
I got time.
Yo, someone.
Water source.
I have kitch.
I'm looking water source, Seth.
Close
20. Two of them.
Help.
Yo, one's top kitch.
P5 dead.
Front Tiki Dill. And what's the money?
Water steps. One shot Sam. Water steps.
He's absolutely. One's money.
Money person then.
Front, not hurt.
Two front.
Flood hill, guys.
Flood hill.
One front. Nice. Good job, Dylan. Yo, make sure we get ring. Get ring.
I'm one off streaks. I'm
coming ring with you.
Oh, new on me.
I'm coming ring with you.
Samson new. He's like close left if you come out of village.
You didn't hit ring?
I'm coming to catch him.
He's left side hill.
Coming new. Yo, flash new.
What's gonna be holding water?
I'm hitting
I'm
ring.
flanking.
Yeah, me and Dylan. One's water steps. No, he is water steps.
I'll be zigging. He's back boulder.
Well, back right.
Nothing zig. Lay down zig dead.
Close, Matt. Close.
He's still there.
Close to me. Can you guys see him?
Older dead.
You guys see him?
Close Sam. One's water.
OpTic beginning to put the picture together, and off of that, they're also able to break inside of P5. Formal going on spree after spree, now sitting on 2 in a row, and it's kind of been a major topic for this team lately, Study. It's been the comms. Last time that we saw OpTic in a series, it was versus Paris, and in kind of that Astro listening, it was Formal taking a majority of the comms, calling out spawns, just kind of making sure everybody is aware as much as they can be. What'd you take from that listening there?
I just love the coordination out of not just Formal, but everyone on the team. Like Scump and Envoy worked so well to take control of Kitchen, and then Formal said, all right, I'm going to challenge Tree. So that play that was working around the backside, they just bait and switched it perfectly, and they were able to get a clean 4 dead, gain some good time off of that P4, and then early rotates to that P5. But we have a tie game. Seattle, they were able to at least chain a couple kills together. Octane was able to pick up 3, which I had them the early setup towards the second go around for P1. But if you're OpTic, you have to make sure that you are able to get Kitchen this time around.
And based off Envoy's positioning, he will look to try to re-challenge through pillars, and with that, does give OpTic much better spot over at P1. Classic fighting for his life as he does get dropped. And with that, control looks to be going their way. The nice flank will look to secure things there for Envoy, as he has just not been able to be stopped so far, putting themselves in great spots. And with that kill onto Octane, it appears to be OpTic now with secured spawns for P2. But you see player 5 spawning up. In fact, they have done it. Last time around, it was Seattle closing the door in their face. Chicago worked things slowly but firmly toward the backside, as now they put themselves in a great position. Prestinni, Gunless off of spawn, and Formal is able to handle both of them.
And that is just great work right there out of Formal and Dashy, just staying alive in this point, just making sure that they're able to pick up these kills. Formal keeping that back control. You're going to see he's going to be playing deep back, able to catch Classic. He's trying to flip those spawns. The second player is trying to come up pocket. Prestinni's trying to delay this challenge, but Formal, he has read this. Unfortunately, he's going to get caught with his pants down, and Prestinni's able to get that kill. But so far, OpTic, they've done a good hold. The only thing is they're allowing Seattle to break right through the front. They're still getting these back spawns. You need to try to break into this to get this good amount of time and force Seattle to rotate.
And we'll see how this kind of headbutt, if you will, not just in P1, but also inside of Kitchen, how this one does work out based off the spawns. A very neck-and-neck game, and Scump decides just to go ahead and rush on through. Does eventually drop, but it will be OpTic still with those spawns toward back Kitchen, and Seattle will be good. I call it out for a moment, though, just because at times things inside of Kitchen can get a little bit weird. At times the team, spawns in jungle. The team who is holding the hill can kind of actually and accidentally cause the team with the non-preferred side to get those spawns for Garage. So Seattle, they do handle it well. And now they're set up for Garage. Last time around, it was Chicago who held things well, making their way through the weight room as Gunless is there to strong arm one. Octane from the side. Quite a bit of 74U look so far from him. Kind of playing somewhat of a flex role so far throughout this game and putting it to good use. 19 and 12 there for Octane.
And this has been a great hold right here from the Surge. Like OpTic continuously trying to push through Art, trying to get through Gym side, and they just were getting shut down every single time. So now that's going to force OpTic to hit that rotation. Surge have the lead, and they're going to be able to get this remaining 20 seconds. The good thing that they took down Octane right there because he was streaking a little bit. If you allow him to pick up some streaks, that'll be the worst case scenario. But they're able to get this remaining junk time. The only thing is OpTic are going to be early set up from this bottom side. So Seattle have the top side control. If they can chain a couple of these kills together, it will spawn the OpTic players out. Let's see how they attack this.
A big break opportunity. You see the 3 versus 4 fight. He's out to try to get rid of trophies. Only player off the spawn, it's going to be Gunless. However, he's inside a kitchen, and here comes the brawl. Who can hold it? Rather, in the push, be successful as one player makes his way through the back. It's going to be Classic, but can't finish off the kill. Waiting for teammate support, but it's not going to be there in time. And now Gunless, somewhat of a staggered push, takes down Scump inside of the small room. But what could have been there from the surge, just unfortunate timing that will generate this basketball court to continue to go the way of OpTic. A great headshot there out of Envoy, extends his streak now to 4 in a row. And Chicago reaches that double century mark and look good to grab the final 10 seconds.
Yeah, and you're going into a final P5, and this is where Route gets paid. So Envoy, unfortunately, he's going to get read out by Prestinni, so that's going to be the play shut down. So early setup is going to be in for Seattle. See a couple players from OpTic trying to attack towards kitchen. This is going to be a big one-on-one gunfight for Scump onto Gunless. So far, Seattle, they're just holding. Envoy and Scump are able to win those engagements, so the pinch is going to be in. That's going to be 3 down. Last player is going to be Water Steps, which is going to be Prestinni. He's going to drop, and now OpTic are fully set up. They know that all they have to do is just watch Zig and Water, and this game is basically over.
Very well could be. Octane looking for the shots, able to make it land, and with that, it will free up the HP now toward the side of Seattle. Somewhat of a slow beginning for Prestinni, but finds a major kill once again toward the flank. As they will be able to delay this at least toward our next hardpoint, keeping things in mind. Envoy once more on the flank. How often is he going to be able to walk away with plays like this? Seattle finally able to handle business, but Envoy at least is able to level the playing field for the moment. 225, 225. A quick little rotation, a brisk walk, rather, through the pillars to get toward our next HP. Seattle within 15 of locking this one up. OpTic now in a prime spot, but what does the push look like from the surge? Dashy sitting over toward the rocks. Meanwhile, it's going to set up Formal with a nice little bait and switch. A quick 2 there for Matthew Piper. Now make it 5 in a row. OpTic, a great opportunity to maybe walk away with this, but now it's Gunless's turn. Sprees everywhere as Seattle managed to break their way in, and it's Pierce laughing his way into the point. 240 to 232. Seattle in a great spot to potentially get this one done. Prestinni once more. That's going to be 2. 3 seconds left, and Chicago cannot get to the point, and Seattle answer early in a wonderful and masterful hard point. Back and forth we went, but Raid will go to the corner of the surge.
Yes, and that final rotation towards that P1. Formal was able to get 3 kills in that middle pillar. The only thing is that the hell hasn't popped yet. So Seattle, they know route man gets paid. And even if Octane has an AR in his hand, he's still going to take that long route and win that engagement. He takes his time to go around Water, jumps up towards Pocket, and wins such a huge one-on-one versus Envoy towards the backside of Laundry, which eventually sets up that pinch. And then Gunless on the opposite side in Art, when Formal was picking up all those kills in the middle of the raid, he was able to find 2 and work that streak on to eventually close it out on that 6th spree, but then forces all of OpTic to spawn out towards Driveway. If Formal picks up those kills, he got all those kills. But if someone just simply traded Gunless right there, OpTic would have been set up. But unfortunately, that Gunless make the play, and Seattle, a great first hard point.
Great first hard point, a back and forth one, to put it lightly. As we said, 4-2. It's been a great game mode so far for Seattle. Despite being winless in stage 4, despite being on this losing streak, Hardpoint has treated them nicely over the past few weeks in these opening hardpoints as well. It has been a solid one to start for these boys, but like I said, it's a back and forth hardpoint one that I'm sure we're going to take a look back at quite a few times. And I guess our first opportunity to do that would in fact be in our USAA coverage moment. Specifically, we're taking a look at Prestinni and Gunless toward the stretch of this game. Things start to get close. It comes down to the wire. Let's break it down for